I realized there was a point where I started to fear the summer. I started to fear that I wouldn't be able to handle all the work, that I would get burnt out, that I would burn my team out. And when I started to see that it was impacting my plans and the things I put in place that we're gonna talk about today, right? I started to backtrack. I started to think smaller. I started to play defense instead of offense. And I just wanna remind all of you that you can handle that next level. You can handle that increase in business if you're prepared. That's it. Everybody has those self-doubts that creep in. You just can't let them take control, right? Don't let them take charge. Remind yourself that you've been through tough times. You've been through busy summers. You know what it's like. You know what's coming. And it's your job to anticipate, plan, and lead your team through it. I thought it was really important that we discuss spring training, right? The time where we really need to make sure that our systems and our team are dialed in and ready for the summer. You know, one good summer in this business could set you up for life. And I don't mean that one summer will make enough for you to retire on for life, but it'll bring you to that next level and give you the momentum that you need to where next year, if you happen to have some cash flow issues in December, January, or February that just passed, you won't experience that anymore, right? So when we look at striking while the iron's hot, well, we know that that's the summer, right? The summer season, the iron's hot, we need to strike. And what most people do, okay, not you guys, but most people, what they do is they look at summer as, you know what, it's gonna be busy. We don't really have to do anything. It's just gonna rain on us and that's it. We're just gonna, the money's just gonna come in. And the reality is, if you're strategic about it, if you plan for it, you can make so much more money with so many less problems, headaches, stress, overwhelm, and keep your sanity through the summer. But we got to prepare a little bit. All right, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to kind of, many of you are probably already doing this stuff, but I want to, make sure that these sessions every month are that checkpoint for you to just say, all right, where am I? Right? What am I focused on right now? What do I have my team focused on right now? And how do we anticipate what's coming? If you notice in these sessions, we're always kind of talking about what's coming so that you're not in reaction mode. You've got time to plan. You've got time to start developing your strategy on what you're going to do and bring your team together to do it. Because I truly believe that in order for you to get to that next level, you need your team to be bought in to your mission and what you're after in this business. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And I think a lot of people get this messaging wrong when it comes to how they're speaking to their team and trying to get them enrolled in their view of what we're trying to do as a company. We'll talk about that in a minute. And, just as a reminder and a checkpoint, look, we're here because you believe that there are things that are in your control that you can change that will determine the outcomes that you receive in your business and in your life. We could sit here and we could have a round table and talk about fuel prices, right? What's this going to do to the business? What's it going to do? It's going to make you have to pay more money for fuel. That's it. There's nothing really to strategize, right? We could adjust for that, right? We can make adjustments for that. It's not the first time that that's happened, but how it impacts your business is not something you can control. Right? Same way, interest rates might go up. Is that going to slow down the moves? Right? I don't know, but we can't control that. So let's not waste time focusing on that. Right? We don't want to be news-minded. We want to be focused on what we can control. And that's what we're here. That's what we're doing right now. So some of you, maybe you're so entrenched in the world news and what's happening, and the constant chatter about how this is going to impact the economy. Look, if you set this business up the right way, which all of you are, that's why you're here, okay? Especially if you're here today with me live. I know some of you are watching a replay, but if you're here with me live, you're committed to this, right? And if you set this up right, you've seen right through the pandemic, okay? Through a recession, absolutely, if you've got it set up correctly. So, if you've got any doubts about where this is going, never doubt this business, never doubt this industry, right? When they start to release the robots that are moving furniture, okay, that may happen someday, right? But somebody's going to need to buy those robots and be the one that connects them to the customer, right? Then we could start having a different conversation. But right now, you're in control, we're in control, we're going to make this happen. We've got to start thinking about the summer, and we need to think about, sometimes we worry about things and we fear things and we don't even realize it's happening. I realized there was a point where I started to fear the summer. I started to fear that I wouldn't be able to handle all the work, that I would get burnt out, that I would burn my team out, right? And when I started to see that it was impacting my plans and the things I put in place that we're going to talk about today, right? I started to backtrack. I started to think smaller. I started to play defense instead of offense. And I just want to remind all of you that you can handle that next level. You can handle that increase in business if you are prepared. That's it, right? So everybody has those self-doubts that creep in. You just can't let them take control, right? Don't let them take charge. Remind yourself that you've been through tough times. You've been through busy summers. You know what it's like. You know what's coming. And it's your job to anticipate, plan, and lead your team through it. To make sure they understand what's coming, what's expected of them, what's going to happen, what you're trying to do out there in the market as a business, as a company, as a brand. And so the first point today I would say that we need to start with is a mission-driven rally cry. A mission-driven rally cry. I'll explain what that is in a second. Okay, so you want to get your team on board, right? You want to get your team dialed in. You want to motivate it. Why aren't they motivated? Why aren't they doing the job? Why do they all seem like, when I'm trying to, get this thing to the next level? And one of the biggest things I see that where people make a big mistake here is that they're talking to their team about, we're going to be the biggest. We're going to get to the next level. We're going to hit 1 million, 5 million, 20 million, 30 million in revenue. And they're talking to the team about their personal goals and vision for how they want to make themselves rich in the business. And wonder why the team's not bought into that. So if we just make a small shift in our messaging, and we change it from, look, we want to be the biggest, to we want to be the best, right? We know, look, if you're the best at what you do, if your customers trust you because you're delivering on on the promises that you make to them, you and I know that is going to allow you to grow. That's going to allow you to get to the next level. That's going to allow you to make more money in the business. But when we're trying to get our team around us and we're trying to get people to buy in to what we're doing, and we're going to have a meeting with them that's like a rally cry. If you guys aren't familiar with a rally cry, that's like when you need to gather your people because it's time to go to war, right? Which is how the summer could feel. And you need everybody to know that they're bought in and they're with you. Let's go. We got this. Like, think about like Braveheart, right? Think about the movie Braveheart. Like that right there, that scene, that's a rally cry. That's getting everybody fired up, getting everybody going. And you're not going to do that by saying, let's get to 2 million, 3 million, 20 million, 100 million, whatever it might be, right? It needs to be focused on, listen, this is what we're after. And it starts with you. So I'm saying this because many times leaders fail to deliver the message. First, they fail to deliver any message at all, right? All right, and then when they do, it's not thought through. So I want you to think through What can you get your team to rally around you on? And, you know, for me, I want to see all of us raise the standards of this industry. You know, I think there is so much room for improvement. And I love when a company says, hey, let's, you know, talk to other people, let's raise the standards. Let's raise the standards. And in order to change the industry, one company can't change the industry, no matter how big. Okay? But it takes all of us to say, let's raise the standards here. Let's deliver a better quality of service for our customers, create a better place for our employees to work, right? Cultivate and develop our people as a role model. We start to raise the standards of the whole industry. And so when you start to talk to your people and you're letting them know, look, we deliver promises. I want to get everybody on the same page, and you start to value each and every person in your company. You talk to the movers and you explain the value that they bring to the company and to the customers. Right? You let them know, look, you play an important part in somebody's life. You know, this don't look at your job as you just go lift boxes. Like, people are going through one of the most stressful things they go through in their life. And the service we provide is either going to make that transition smoother or make that transition harder for them. You know, we all want to know that the work that we do matters. And the work that you do every day when you go and you move people, it matters. But you also have to understand that the work that, you know, our marketing team and our sales team and our customer service and our dispatch, what they do matters as well. Because this is a team sport. This is a team sport. You know, when the customer calls in, they're not just speaking to you and then you're the one that shows up. They're speaking to a salesperson, right? Who's going to deliver, who's going to make promises. We promise we'll quilt, pad, and wrap your furniture. We'll promise we'll show up on time. We promise we'll send, even if you're not saying the words I promise, this is what you're doing. When you're telling them the services that you'll provide, you're making those promises in their head. So how do you build trust with somebody is you deliver on your promises. And so when you start to explain to your team, you know, your salespeople, like, look, you're talking to somebody who's in transition of making a decision of what company to go with. It's a big deal. We know there's companies out there in every market that do a shitty job, right? And so if you know you do a good job, it is your duty to sell that customer on doing business with your company. If you feel, and I know all of you do, like you don't want your movers coming to you crying because they don't have enough hours and they can't pay the bills because you're slow, how do you fix that? You get more jobs, right? You make the salesperson feel valued. You make sure they feel important. Everywhere across the company, right? And you let them know, look, a lot of times these rally cries, if you've never done them before, it needs to have a component of, you know, admitting your faults as a leader, right? I'll do that whenever is necessary with my team. I'll do it with you guys. I'll do it with anybody that I'm have the responsibility and privilege of leading. If I have failed to do so, part of getting them to enroll in what the vision that I want to see fulfilled is, hey, guys, you know, look, I know I've been absent, you know, I know this year I moved twice and I haven't been as attentive to the team and moving things along, and I haven't been the leader that I really want to be for you guys, but I just want you to know that that's all changing today. We're on a mission. Here's the mission. Here's what we're after. And I need everybody on board for this. And I want you to know that I'm 100% committed. And I need everybody to be 100% committed with me. Right? So don't be afraid to admit your faults. And even if necessary, if you've been a shitty leader, apologize for it. Now, I know most of you don't need to hear this, but some of you, maybe that's the case. You can rebound from that. right? You can bounce back from that. We all go through times in our life where we're not the best version of ourselves, or we're super stressed out and we've got too much on our plate and too much going on, and we've dropped the ball over here and we dropped the ball over there. So whether it's with your team, your family, or yourself, recommit and admit where you messed up, and then have that rally cry to move forward. You know, if you've got core values in your business, what do you stand for? This would be a great meeting and an opportunity. And if you don't have them, this would be the time to create them. You know, just kind of like, here's what we stand for. And making sure your employees know that. That helps to guide their decisions along the way when they don't necessarily have access to the step-by-step process and they need to make a decision right there. What do we stand for as a company? What is our guiding light? Look, it's not that big of a deal. Just what do you stand for, right? What do you stand for? For us, for my company, for Moving Mastery, right? Continuous improvement is one, right? I want to know that as a company, everybody's focused on continuous improvement. No, there's no status quo. As we're doing our job, we're looking for better ways to do it better, right? We're personally improving as individuals, and as a company, we're looking to improve each part of the business. The second one is personal accountability. I want everybody on the team to take accountability for their role and their actions of what happens in the company. And when we drop the ball as a company, I want people that are there with the customer to be able to step up and take personal accountability for that, right? The third one is love our customers. Love our customers. You know, for us, for Moving Mastery, like when our customers, when you guys succeed, we succeed. That's it. Our only determining metric of success is your success. So we have to love on our customers and make sure we're doing what we need to do. Think about that for a second. Just think about the decisions you make on what to do for your customers when you look through that lens. It's different than like take care of our customers, right? And I'm not saying you should take these. I'm just giving you some examples, right? I'm just giving you some examples so you kind of understand. But when you say, no, we need to love our customers, like, guys, your customers, as much as some of them might be a total pain in the ass, they're the reason you have a business. They're the reason you're on track to build your financial freedom. They're the reason for many of you that you're going to have generational wealth and legacy. Because those people are moving and they've wanted a professional company. You know? I mean, if you know, besides your family and friends and God, like, who else should you be loving on? And your team, right? And our fourth one, we only have four, is sell to serve. Sell to serve. And what that means for me is, and for our team, is that, look, we're here to serve. That's the whole mission of everything we're doing, is to serve. To help companies break through, to get to that next level, to overcome challenges in the business on a personal level, and to give them the systems and the tools that they need to get there. But if we don't sell, right? I'm sure there's people here that are like, you know, at some point, like, that's Louis is real salesy. Man, I went to his seminar, but like, man, that sales video was super salesy, right? But you know what? If I don't do that, I can't serve, right? If I send out a free video, I've got to sell people, go watch this free video, please, because I know it's going to help you, right? And as people want to go to the next level and the next level and the next level, then there's different levels of support and implementation and access to me that they could get, but we have to sell them on that. Not to sell and put money in our pockets, to sell and to be able to serve. You can't do one without the other. So if you look at your clients and say, we want to provide a great service, selling's a big part of that, okay? So think about what your rally cry is going to be, right? Even if you write it out, who cares? Write it out for your own sake. If you feel like I got this and I could go without notes, go without notes. If you need notes, have some notes. Have some notes and gather everybody together and have that monumental moment where you really step up as a leader and let them all feel like, wow, this is somebody I want to follow. This is somebody I can learn from. This is somebody that's a role model and will show me the path to succeed. And it's not all about money. And what you're doing is you're planting the seeds every day for your team to where they're not feeling like, oh, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, he's the man, screw the man, right? Get them focused on the mission, and the mission is to deliver on the promises that you make to your customers, okay? So that's the first one, a mission-driven rally cry, you know? And you need this going into summer. This isn't a one-time event, you know, but I would say you need it now going into summer. Letting them know where we're headed, what's going on, what I need from everybody. The second one is systems checkup and role review. Systems checkup and role review. What does that mean? That means you're about to put your systems to the test. Right? Hopefully you've been working on them through the off season. If you haven't, we still have time. We're just gonna have to, you know, speed it up. You know, sometimes we need a deadline to give us a kick in the ass to get us moving. Well, season's coming, so get ready, right? I'm from Florida. When the hurricane's coming, like, you need to prepare and be ready for that. So there's still time to make that happen. So what do we want to do? We want to take a look at our systems, right? And don't stay with me here. Let's keep this real simple and high level. What systems? Your sales system. Lead and a phone call comes in. What's the process to get them on the phone, give them an estimate, close the deal, follow up if necessary? Okay? Take a look at that. Make sure everybody's following it. In order for them to follow it, they need to be clear on what that is. So if you literally have to go to a whiteboard and just go, look, here's a lead. The lead comes in. Next step is we give them a call. We follow this 2+1 or 222, 321, whatever your lead follow-up process is. Okay? Then we give them the script. Like, you lay it all out. Make sure everybody understands it. Make sure you understand it too. All right? This is not, I mean, literally, I'm not taking you down some deep path of remodeling your entire business, right? You've got to remodel the plane while the plane's still flying. You've got to, you know, it'd be nice to go, you know what, let's shut down for a few months and let's get all our systems in order. Let's train our people, right? Let's get everything we need in place, and then we'll open back up when we're good and ready. It doesn't work that way, right? We've got to make the adjustments as we're going. So you take a look at your sales process, okay? Simple. Right? Simple. You take a look at your dispatch process, right? Okay, once it moves from sales, okay, we do the confirmation call, then we get the truck inventory ready, then we send out the crew. Okay, now the crew's out. You take a look at your perfect move process. Here's what we want them to do on the perfect move. This is your systems check. You're checking, number one, to make sure you and your team are clear on what the systems are. And then you worry about, are they doing it, right? Next one is customer service. Just make sure, hey, if we get a claim this summer, when things are, you know, crazy, just do we have the steps of how we deal with it so that it doesn't throw everybody out of whack when a bad review pops up or a complaint comes in or a damage happens? And then your accounting process, right? How do we make sure we collected all the money, pay the bills, make payroll? Right? So systems check, just on the core functionality of the business. That's it. That will reveal anything that's not happening deeper in the processes that needs to be adjusted. Right? But it's like, all right, you're going into the business. All right, let's just see. I got to make sure season's coming. Oh shit, what do I got to do? All right, let me make sure sales is working. Let me make sure dispatch is working. Let me make sure they know what to do on the perfect move. Let me make sure, okay, if there's a complaint, let me make sure they know how to do that, right? And how do we make sure that the money's accounted for? Guys, you could do this in the next 30 days. You could have this dialed in on top of your already busy schedule, right? It doesn't take much. The second part of this is the role review. So the role review is looking at everybody that you have in the business now and determining what hats do they wear, right? What roles are they responsible for, right? Meaning your dispatcher, your movers, your moving consultants, office manager, customer service, bookkeeper, whatever else you have. Well, depending on the size of your company, you know, some of you, you're like, that's me. I'm all of those, right? I do them all myself. And, you know, that was most of us at first, right? And as you grow, you start to pass off some of those roles. But where problems come in and breakdowns in the system come in is when the people that are running those systems aren't clear on their roles. So list out your people and just write down what are their roles? What are their roles in the company? Each role comes with a set of responsibilities. So you've checked the systems, now you're checking your people. Okay, you're making sure they know what their role is, because sometimes it's like, you know, we listen, it happens, it's part of growth. Okay, it's part of growth in a small business. In a small, I mean, you know, even if you're up to $100 million, it's a small business, right? We're not enterprise level. And where you're moving quick, you're growing, you're making changes, and you're, here, I need you to do this. Here, I need you to do that. I need you to do this. You don't do this anymore, I'm gonna have you do that. And what happens is, when you come up for air, everybody's like, I just do a bunch of stuff. You know, if you ask your people in the company, what are your roles? They're like, oh, I do this, I do that. That's okay, it happens, right? It happens. We can't run everything all the time and everything's just perfectly neat and organized. As we run, things come undone a little bit. So we figure out, make sure we've got the right people in the right seats, make any adjustments we need to make. Think about it, you know, a sports team. You know, they're looking at, you know, the players they've got, and I'm like, okay, who do we, you know, think about more so like Little League, if those of you that have kids or you remember being in Little League. You know, in the pros, they just go out and they buy the best player for that position and they bring them in. But when you're, hey, these are the players we've got, how do we put the right people in the right positions? Well, if you got a kid that's, you know, got a great arm, but's dropping the ball, and you've got him as a tight end, well, you need to move him and bring him in and make him the quarterback, right? So just make sure you've got the right people in the right roles and that they understand what it is. I would, even if it's bullet points, even if it's on the back of a napkin or on a whiteboard, list out, here are your roles and here's what you're responsible for. And these are the outcomes that we're hoping to see, okay? This will give your people the confidence too, right? If you did a survey to everyone in your office, I would say everybody here, if it was all combined, 60 to 70% of people would have some confusion about their role and what they're actually responsible for in the company and that they're personally accountable for. All right? Again, this is stuff we can clean up this month before the summer storm comes. Next one. All right, so we got that rally cry at the beginning. We get everybody on board, but now, you know, once you do the rally cry, anytime you ever do it, anytime, you always have to follow up and follow through with action. You start giving the rally cries and then nothing changes, they stop believing you. And even if you feel that that's the case now, you can never stop trying. But this time you're going to follow through with action. So the next one is dedicated training blocks. Dedicated training blocks. What does that mean? Well, now that you've defined the roles, okay, or at least just tweaked them, right? Hopefully you have them all set up already. Like, you know, if you're like, Lewis, I got my roles, good. Maybe all you gotta do is a little adjustment. And just make sure, right? Well, now decide, okay, what do I need them to learn? And what do I need to train them on to get them up to speed to be able to operate the system I need them to operate. And just make a little list. They need to learn how to do this. What's the best way to teach them? You could teach them yourself. You could have them review your processes. You could have somebody else on the team teach them. Whatever it is, create dedicated training blocks. Maybe you say, you know what? We're going to do training Thursdays, right? And on Thursday, everybody's going to spend 30 minutes training on something specific. Maybe they're not all training on the same thing, or maybe, Wednesday wisdom, right? You're going to get a little wisdom about how the business works. Dedicated training blocks. If it's not, look, just from the conversations we've had on productivity, if things aren't scheduled or blocked out on the calendar, they don't happen. They don't happen. And what we tend to do is we tend to think we need this big, huge block of time. I need to train my people. Let me land the plane, get everybody trained, and then we'll take off again. No, you've got to train them while it's moving. So it's like, right now, why not just incrementally say, you know what, an hour a week or 30 minutes a week, we're going to do this. And I know many of you have had, training with your teams where you do a Zoom call with them. You just got to make sure that somehow, some way, you're just utilizing whatever you've got access to and leveraging whoever else you have to get everybody up to speed. That's it. This is like a one-time get ready for summer push. The next one is recognition and rewards. Recognition and rewards. So, part of this is train the team, right? Spring training. Get everybody ready. Get your systems ready. Get your team ready. But we need to get the team on board. And one of the best ways to get them on board, besides buying into your mission and wanting to be a part of that and wanting to have personal pride of doing a good job and that their job actually matters, not just to the company, but to the consumer, is the recognition of when they do a good job, right? And I think, there's probably some people that do this really, really, really well. But for most of us, we need to be reminded that we need to give our people recognition. Because I think it's very easy to focus on what's not getting done and focus on who's dropping the ball and focusing on who could have, should have, would have done this or that and miss what they are doing well and acknowledge them for it. And when we're talking about training specifically, I think tying your training into recognition and reward is powerful, right? So, maybe they do this level of training that you have, and when they do it and they are able to demonstrate that they get it, whether it's through a test or just demonstrating it, they get 50 cents or a dollar raise, or they get some type of one-time bonus, or they're on track to move up within the company, right? But we want to reward and recognize behaviors that we like in the business, right? And a lot of, I still have to remind myself of this. And, because it's easy to, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And then when they do what they're supposed to do, we think, and I hate to throw everybody in this category, if you're not, if this isn't your natural thought process, then excuse me on this one. But, we think, they're doing, of course, they're supposed to do their job, right? Why do I have to recognize them and reward them for doing their job? And I think this is something that I've learned even more becoming a parent is positive reinforcement, right? Positive reinforcement and making sure that when people are doing the right thing, you're acknowledging them for that. So, think about how you tie in, the training with some type of recognition and some type of reward. And the rewards don't have to be big, because let me tell you something. You know which one gets people moving more than the other? Everybody wants the recognition. Even money and the big paycheck, that's recognition, right? So they might see it as, I just want the money. They want to be recognized as they're good at their job, and that paycheck shows them that they're good at their job. Yeah, you recognize them. They could go home and be recognized by their family and be proud of what they're doing. And when you train your people, they gain the skills that they need to do the job, right? They gain experience in the training. That alone boosts their confidence to do their job. A lot of times when people are underperforming, it's because they're not confident in what they're supposed to do. So they play small because they don't want to overstep where they're supposed to, with the boundaries that you've placed on them. But you've heard me talk about this before. In psychology, there's something called the confidence-competence loop. And the more competence somebody gains, the more confidence they get. The more confidence they get, the more willing they are to go and do the thing more, which will give them more competence, right? So think about, how do I make a difference? How do I become, not only a leader and a boss and a CEO, but a role model, right? Someone that could help people see more in themselves than they see in themselves. Because I've seen it with people over the years on my team that had a very didn't really, they did the job, but they didn't have that level of confidence. And as they started to learn, and as they started to grow, and as they started to get recognized and rewarded and get that positive reinforcement, their shoulders went back, they walked different, right? They had a different level of confidence. That's a better environment to be working in with your whole team feeling that way, right? So recognition and rewards. Then, to keep this going, monthly motivation themes. Monthly motivation themes. You see that? So, once a month, I just want you to sit down once a month and think about where are we in the life cycle of the seasonality of this business and in our own growth and possible expansion plans. Like where are we? And be the leader that tells people where we are. As the captain of the ship, you've got to tell the people on the ship or the people down below that are rowing the boats, that are rowing, where you're headed. If you've heard me tell the story, like when I had my big office in the call center, and there was 80 people in there all together, and we would, I'd walk in, I'd have to walk through the call center to get to my office, and a lot of days, I didn't want to see anybody. I'm like, I just want to get in my office and shut my door and do my thing, right? It's a lot of people coming at you. And when I realized, what I need to do is I need to set the tone that trickles down, right? I need to talk to my managers, talk to my team, and set the tone, kind of like how we started this conversation with the rally cry, on here's what we're doing, here's what we're after, here's the challenges that we have that are going to be facing us soon, right? Here's some of the things that we're working on overcoming and our status of doing that, and what a great job we've done. And that alone, if I just did that part, then I could go in my office, shut the door, and work on whatever I wanted to work on. And so each month, like right now, this is the theme. The theme is, hey, listen, your theme is your rally cry. Your theme is, hey, we're going to raise the standards for moving in our city, right? And I need everybody to be a part of this. We want to make sure that when we promise a customer something, we deliver on that promise. It's springtime. It's time to start getting our systems. We need to do a systems check, right? We need to check everybody's role, make sure we've got everybody in the right seats. When people are in the dark, it's hard to feel motivated. when somebody's in the middle of the summer, think about your staff, they're in the middle of the summer. They don't know what's coming. They don't know what's coming from the side. They don't know what's happening. They just know that it's extremely busy and crazy, and it feels like the wheels are going to fall off the bus. They need to know where that light is at the end of the tunnel. They need to see it. When your movers are like, oh, my back, my legs, I need days off. This is tough. You've got to remind them, look, we've got a couple more months of this. This is our time. This is the time that we make our money so that in the winter, remember you came to me in the winter and it was tough, right? So each month, just, as the leader, just think about yourself just being the captain of the ship, and you just have to come make an announcement. Here's where we're at. Here's where we're going. Here's what we need to be focused on. That's it, right? That's it. Simple. So this is the stuff we need to be working on in March and in April so that we are ready to go come May, right? May 15th technically is moving season starts. And that's it. That's what we got to do, right? It's like, you've got your other stuff that you're working on. Absolutely, right? Think about everything we do as like the core business of what you've got to dial in. And I know it's tough, right? It's not an easy business. But once you get that core, you start to become unstoppable, right? I hate to overuse that, but you really do. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be problems. There's going to be days where you feel self-doubt, right? When I have to remind myself still to this day, when I'm working towards something and I have a day or two where I'm doing things, but I don't feel that I made significant progress, I feel myself feel a little bit down. But I recognize it quickly now, and I'm like, no, zoom out. Okay, yeah, you didn't hit a home run today, right? But what you're working on, this is, you're not playing checkers, you're playing chess. This is the long term, right? You guys aren't here because you're trying to get another 2 moves to, put some money in your pocket this week. You're here because you're building a business. You've got a vision for what you want to build, and not every day are you hitting home runs. Remind yourself of that, right? Give yourself the recognition and give yourself the rewards, right? Set up some targets for moving season with some big goal for yourself at the end. Hey, my friend, before you go, you've got to hurry and watch these next few videos over here. They will absolutely help you take your moving company to the next level. Go watch them now, and I'll see you over there.